What if Issei was the son of the true Satan? The night Issei Hayato was born, the sky above the underworld turned black. Not dark like midnight, but black like something alive was covering the stars. Every demon felt it. Every god trembled. Even the 4 Satans looked up and whispered, "He has returned." But no one knew the truth. Not yet. Not until years later. Scene 1, The Secret Birth. Deep inside an old castle buried under the Gremry lands, a woman screamed in pain. Her name was Lilith, a high-class devil who had disappeared long ago. In her arms she held a baby wrapped in red cloth. His eyes glowed faintly gold and crimson, and strange demonic symbols shimmered on his skin. The doctor helping her stepped back in fear. "My lady, this power, it feels like," Lilith whispered weakly. "Don't say it. No one can know." "But, I said no one," the baby cried, and when he did, the castle walls cracked. Lilith looked down at her child and smiled sadly. "You're not like them, my son. You are his son. The son of the true Satan." She pressed a pendant into his tiny hand, a black cross wrapped in red chains. "Your father will come for you one day," she said softly. "But until then, live as a human. Be free." And with one last spell, she sent him away, through magic, to the human world. Scene 2, The Human Life. Years later, Issei Hayato grew up in Ko Town as an ordinary perverted teenager. At least, that's what everyone thought. He lived a normal life, school, friends, games, and dreams of having a harem. But sometimes, at night, he would wake up sweating from nightmares of fire, wings, and screams. And sometimes, when he got angry, lights would flicker or glass would break on its own. He didn't understand it, until the day he died. Scene 3, The Fallen Angel Attack. It happened just like in the original story. A beautiful girl named Yuma Amano asked him out. She was sweet, shy, and kind, until she wasn't. On their date, she smiled sadly. "Issei-kun, would you die for me?" He blinked. "Wait, what?" The next second, a spear of light pierced his chest. His world went dark. He fell to the ground, blood pooling under him. Yuma's black wings spread behind her as she whispered, "You were never supposed to exist." But as his vision faded, something deep inside him snapped. A voice, deep, cold, and ancient, spoke in his mind. "My son, you have slept long enough." Issei's body glowed red. The air shook. Yuma stepped back, terrified. "What is this power?" A black sigil formed under him, spinning faster and faster. The ground cracked, fire erupted, and 2 massive black wings burst from his back, but not fallen wings. "Satan's wings," the voice spoke again. "Awaken, Issei. Show them the blood of the true Satan." Scene 4, The Awakening. Issei opened his eyes. They were glowing red, brighter than any devil's. His wound healed instantly. The spear of light melted in his hand. Yuma tried to fly away, but Issei appeared behind her faster than she could blink. His voice was calm, but it made her freeze. "Did you enjoy killing me?" She tried to stab him again, but her spear shattered before touching his skin. "What are you?" she whispered, trembling. Issei's aura burned like black fire. His shadow stretched far across the street, forming horns and wings. "I don't know yet," he said. "But I'm done being weak." With one flick of his hand, Yuma was thrown back into the sky like a ragdoll. She disappeared in a flash of light. Issei collapsed after that, his wings fading away. Before he hit the ground, a red magic circle appeared, and Rias Gremry stepped out of it. Her eyes were wide. "That power! It's not possible!" She knelt beside him. "Just who are you, Hayato Issei?" But Issei was already unconscious. Scene 5, The Devil Within. When Issei woke up, he was in the Gremry mansion. Rias and Aquino were there, watching him carefully. He groaned. Did I dream that?" Rias shook her head. "No. What you did, no ordinary devil could do that. Not even I could stop that kind of power." "Power?" Issei asked. "You mean the fire? The wings?" Aquino smiled nervously. "Those weren't normal wings. They were royal. The same as the old Satans." Issei blinked. "Old Satan? You mean like Lucifer?" Rias nodded slowly. "Yes. And the strange part is, your energy feels like his, but older. Deeper." He frowned. "You're saying I'm related to Satan?" Rias hesitated, then said, "I don't know how, but yes." Your aura, it's not from this era. Suddenly, the pendant around his neck glowed. He looked down and saw the red-chained black cross Lilith had given him long ago. He had worn it all his life without knowing why. A voice came from the pendant, soft but filled with power. My son, if you are hearing this, then the seal has broken. The time has come to reclaim your throne. Issei froze. Rias gasped. You are not just a devil. You are the heir to the true Satan, the one who ruled before the current Lucifer. The world fears your bloodline. That's why they sealed you away. The voice faded. Rias stepped back, shocked. The true Satan's son. That means you're. Issei stood up, his eyes glowing faintly red again. I'm done being the weak one, he said quietly. If this is who I am, then I'll find out what it means. Scene 6. The New Devil King. That night, as he stood outside the Gremory mansion, Issei looked at the moon and clenched his fists. His whole body felt different, stronger, heavier, more alive. He could feel a dark flame deep inside him, waiting to be unleashed. My son, the voice whispered again in his mind, your enemies will come for you soon. The Satans who took my throne. The angels who feared my power. The dragons who forgot my name. Issei smiled slightly. Then let them come. Rias appeared behind him. Whatever you are, you're still my servant, and my friend. He looked at her and nodded. And I'll protect you. That's my promise. As he spoke, black fire spread across the sky, forming the shape of a dragon wrapped around a throne. The world of devils trembled, because the son of the true Satan had awakened. Issei Hayate's life had completely changed. Only a few days ago, he was a normal high school boy who wanted a girlfriend. Now he knew the truth. He was the son of the true Satan, the most powerful devil who ever lived. After Rias told him what she knew, Issei tried to act normal, but it wasn't easy. Every time he looked in the mirror, his eyes glowed faint red. Every night, strange voices called his name in his dreams. He saw fire, wings, and a throne surrounded by darkness. And always, that same deep voice spoke to him, his father's voice. My son, come to me. Find the throne I left behind. One night, Issei woke up sweating. The moonlight was shining through his window, and his pendant was glowing again. He grabbed it, and suddenly, his room disappeared. He found himself standing in a dark cave filled with black flames. A tall figure stood in front of him, wearing a cloak made of shadows. Issei froze. He didn't need to ask who it was. Father, he whispered. The man turned. His eyes burned like red stars. His voice was deep and calm. So you've awakened, my son. Issei swallowed hard. Are you really the true Satan? The man smiled faintly. Yes. I am Lucifer the First. Long ago, I ruled the underworld before the current Satans took my throne. They feared my power and betrayed me. Before I vanished, I hid my blood in the human world, inside you. Issei's heart raced. Why me? Why send me away? Because they would have killed you, his father said. The others made a deal to erase my name from history. You were my last hope. Issei looked down. Then everything I knew was a lie. Not a lie, his father said. A test. You have lived among humans, and that has made you strong in ways devils cannot understand. He lifted his hand, and a small black flame appeared. This fire is my gift. It burns everything false. But if your heart is weak, it will burn you too. The flame floated toward Issei and sank into his chest. He gasped as heat spread through his body. His vision blurred, and then he woke up back in his room. Rias was there, sitting beside his bed. She looked worried. Issei! You were glowing! I couldn't wake you up. He sat up slowly. I saw him, Rias. My father. The true Satan. Her eyes widened. What did he say? He told me to find his throne. It's hidden somewhere in the underworld. Rias frowned. That place doesn't exist anymore. After the old war, the new Satans destroyed everything related to him. Issei shook his head. No. He's still there. I could feel it, Rias sighed. Then we'll find it together. But you need to be careful. If the Satans find out who you really are, they'll come after you. Issei nodded. Let them. I'm done hiding. The next morning, Rias called her peerage together, Akino, Kaneko, Kiba, and Asia. They all sat around the table, watching Issei carefully. Kiba asked. So, you're really the son of the true Satan? Issei rubbed the back of his neck. Yeah. I didn't believe it at first either. Asia looked scared. Will people try to hurt you again? Probably, Issei said honestly. But this time, I'll fight back. Akino smiled softly. Looks like my darling dragon has become a real demon. Issei blushed a little. Guess so. Later that night, they opened a magic circle that led to the deep parts of the underworld, a place where no one dared to go. It was said that the ruins of the first hell were buried there, under mountains of black stone. As soon as they arrived, the air felt heavy. The sky was red and full of smoke. Statues of ancient devils were half buried in the ground, and in the distance, a huge temple stood surrounded by dark fire. Issei felt his pendant heat up. That's it. That's where the throne is. They walked closer, but suddenly, spears of light fell from the sky. Angels, hundreds of them. Their leader landed in front of them, his wings pure white. By order of heaven, the blood of the true Satan must never rise again. Issei's eyes narrowed. You're too late. Black fire burst from his hands, forming into wings behind him. The angels froze. Their holy weapons melted in midair. You want to stop me? Issei said quietly. Then try. He raised his arm, and the ground shook. The fire around him spread like a storm, swallowing the angels one by one. When the smoke cleared, only the leader was still standing, barely. He stared at Issei in fear. You're not a devil. You're something else. Issei stepped closer. I'm what your god feared most. The angel fled into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. Rias came up beside Issei. You're getting stronger. He looked at his hands, the fire fading slowly. Yeah, but I don't know if that's a good thing. They entered the temple. Inside, the air was thick with magic. At the center of the room stood a giant black throne covered in chains. Issei walked toward it. The closer he got, the louder his father's voice became. Sit, my son. Claim what is yours. He touched the armrest. The chains broke one by one, bursting into flames. The whole temple began to shake. The throne lit up, and a wave of dark power rushed through the room. Rias covered her eyes. Issei! When the light faded, Issei was sitting on the throne. His eyes were glowing red and gold, and his wings stretched wide, half dragon, half devil. His father's voice echoed proudly in the air. The heir of the true Satan has returned. Let the false kings tremble. Issei stood up slowly, power flowing through every vein. He looked at Rias and smiled faintly. I think I just started a war. Rias smiled back, both proud and afraid. Then we'll face it together. Outside, the underworld began to rumble. In the palaces of the four Satans, alarms rang. For the first time in thousands of years, the mark of the true Satan burned bright in the sky. The lost bloodline had awakened. The news spread faster than fire. Every corner of the underworld whispered the same thing. The true Satan's son has returned. Some called it a miracle. Others called it the start of the end. Inside their grand castle, the four Satans met in secret. Serzex, Seraphal, Ajuka, and Falbium all sat around a black table. The air was heavy, and not even the guards dared to breathe loudly. Seraphal broke the silence first. So, it's true. The boy Issei Hayadu carries the blood of the true Satan. Ajuka nodded. There's no mistake. The energy that appeared in Pharaoh's keep was identical to the old Lucifer's. Serzex clenched his fists. If he truly is the heir, then our peace is in danger. The devils who once followed the old ways will rise again. Falbium sighed. Then we have no choice. We must capture him before he gains more power. Seraphal frowned. He's just a boy. Ajuka looked at her coldly. A boy who can destroy heaven's army alone. They all went silent again. None of them said it out loud, but deep down, they were afraid. If Issei took his father's throne, the entire balance of the world would break. Far away, in the ruins of the true Satan's temple, Issei stood outside looking at the black sky. The throne behind him glowed faintly, and dark flames danced around it like they were alive. Rias came up beside him. You can feel it too, can't you? The underworld is moving. Issei nodded slowly. They'll come for me soon. What will you do? She asked. He looked at her and smiled slightly. What my father couldn't. I'll unite the devils, not destroy them, but they'll call it war. Rias whispered. I know, Issei said. And if they want war, I'll give them one they'll never forget. The next few days were chaos. Old families that had served the true Satan long ago began to rise again. From hidden castles and underground cities, they came out of the shadows. The Lucifuge, Astaroth, and Beelzebub clans sent secret messengers to Issei, swearing loyalty to the rightful heir. They called him Prince of Darkness and begged him to restore their honor. Issei didn't want to be a king, but he couldn't stop it anymore. The fire was already spreading. At the same time, Serzex sent orders to capture him. Devil armies started marching, banners glowing red and white, the colors of the new era. The old and the new were about to collide. Issei stood before a growing army of his own. Thousands of devils kneeled before him, wearing dark armor marked with the ancient Satan symbol, a dragon wrapped around a throne. Rhea stood by his side, her peerage behind her. Aquino smiled softly, electricity sparking around her hands. Looks like we're in a real war now, Kiba grinned. I never thought I'd fight against the current Satans. Asia looked nervous, but she nodded. We'll fight to protect Issei. Issei looked at them all. No matter what happens, none of you are allowed to die. I've already lost enough. He raised his hand, and black fire filled the sky. The army roared in response. Days later, the first battle began. It happened in the Valley of Crimson Smoke, an ancient place where the true Satan once fought the angels. The ground still smelled of sulfur, and the sky was always red. Issei's army stood on one side. The army of the four Satans stood on the other. Between them, the air trembled, 2 generations of devils staring at each other. Serzex himself led the front, his red aura glowing like the sun. When he saw Issei, his eyes narrowed. So it's true. You really are his son. Issei looked calm. I don't want to fight you, Serzex. But I won't kneel, Serzex sighed. You're dangerous. You carry the blood that once nearly destroyed our world. I can't let you live freely. Then you'll have to kill me, Issei said. Serzex lifted his hand. So be it. The ground exploded. Energy blasts filled the air as both sides charged forward. The battle was like nothing the underworld had seen in centuries. Black and red fire clashed. Mountains cracked, rivers turned to steam, and the sky burned. Issei fought at the front, his armor covered in red flame, his eyes glowing gold. Every punch sent shockwaves through the land. Serzex fought him head-on, their powers shaking the world. When their fists met, the shock destroyed everything within miles. You have your father's strength, Serzex said between blows. But not his control, Issei smiled slightly. Then I'll just learn faster. He unleashed a massive wave of black flame that swallowed Serzex's aura completely. But when the smoke cleared, Serzex was still standing, barely, but alive. You're strong, Issei admitted. Maybe the strongest I've ever fought. Serzex grinned weakly. You too, boy. Suddenly, a light flashed in the sky. Angels, hundreds of them descended, spears ready. Rias looked up in shock. Why are the angels here? Serzex frowned. They think this war will destroy everything. They've come to kill us both. Issei clenched his fists. Then I guess we fight together. Serzex stared at him for a moment, then nodded. Just this once. The two enemies stood side by side, back to back. The sky filled with light spears and holy fire. Issei raised his hand, and his black flames met them head-on. When the fire and light collided, the explosion was so bright it could be seen from heaven itself. For hours, the battle raged. When it finally ended, the valley was nothing but smoke and ash. The angels retreated. The devils on both sides were wounded, exhausted, and confused. Serzex turned to Issei. You fought like a true king. I fought like someone protecting his people, Issei said quietly. Serzex looked down. Maybe your father's blood isn't cursed after all. He turned and left, calling off his army. The war was not over, but something had changed. The devils had seen Issei fight not for power, but for peace. Rias came up beside him, smiling through her tired eyes. You did it. You made them see who you really are. Issei looked at the horizon, the black flames slowly fading around him. Maybe, he said. But the real war hasn't even started yet. Above them, thunder rolled through the sky. In the far distance, something ancient was stirring, a darkness older than Satan himself. The Valley of Crimson Smoke was silent. Only ashes and broken weapons remained after the battle. Issei stood among them, tired and covered in dust. The war between the new Satans and his army had stopped for now, but everyone knew it wasn't truly over. He looked at the sky. Black clouds were spinning slowly, forming a strange circle. Drake's voice spoke inside his mind. Partner, something is coming. I can feel it deep inside the earth. Issei frowned. Something worse than angels and devils? Yes. Much worse. It's older than both. The ground started to shake. Huge cracks spread across the land, and fire burst out from below. Rias and her team ran to him. Issei! What's happening? He clenched his fists. Something ancient just woke up, far below the surface of the underworld, inside a forgotten prison made of stone and magic. Chains began to break one by one. The sound echoed like thunder. Then, a voice that hadn't been heard for thousands of years spoke. Finally! I'm free. A massive creature rose from the darkness. Its body was covered in black scales, its wings were like torn shadows, and its eyes burned gold. Each breath it took made the ground shake. This was Esdraloth, the black dragon god, the creature the true Satan had sealed away long ago. It opened its mouth, and its roar reached every corner of hell. The fire in the sky turned black. Back on the surface, Issei felt the air go cold. Even his demonic power trembled. Rias looked around, scared. What is that energy? It feels alive, Drake answered for him. That's the black dragon god. My kind fears him. He's not a true dragon. He's chaos itself. Issei's eyes narrowed. So my father sealed that thing? Yes. And now it wants revenge on his bloodline, on you. Issei took a deep breath. Then I'll finish what he started. He spread his wings, black flames bursting from his back. Everyone get to safety. Rias grabbed his arm. No! You can't fight that alone, he smiled. If I don't, no one else can. The sky split open. From the crack, the massive shape of Esdraloth appeared, its body stretching for miles. Its roar shattered mountains and turned rivers into fire. Every devil army, both Issei's and the Satans, looked up in horror. The war between them suddenly didn't matter anymore. Serzex appeared beside Issei through a teleportation circle. You feel it too? Issei nodded. That thing's coming for me. Serzex looked at him seriously. Then I'll fight with you. Whatever you are, you're still part of this world, Issei smirked. Didn't expect that from the man who tried to arrest me. Serzex smiled slightly. Desperate times. The black dragon god landed with a crash that sent shockwaves across the valley. Its voice was deep and terrible. Son of Satan, your father stole my freedom. I will destroy you and take back this world. Issei's eyes burned bright red. You can try. He flew straight at the dragon, his armor glowing crimson. Their first clash was so strong that the clouds above exploded. Black flame and demonic fire spread everywhere. Rias and Aquino shielded the others with barriers while Issei and Serzex fought side by side. Boost! Drake shouted inside Issei's mind, power building up with every punch. Boost! 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 Issei struck Esdraloth's chest, leaving a glowing mark, but it healed instantly. Partner, it's regenerating. Normal power won't work, then we use Satan's power, Issei said. He focused his energy, remembering his father's voice. The fire of truth burns only for those who carry my will. Dark fire covered his body completely. His eyes turned gold and black at the same time. He looked almost like a god himself. Serzex gasped. What are you becoming? Issei's voice was calm but powerful. The son of the true Satan. The next strike was like the end of the world. Issei's black flame hit Esdraloth's head, pushing the massive dragon back for the first time in history. The creature screamed, half in pain, half in rage. You cannot kill chaos! It roared. Issei gritted his teeth. Maybe not, but I can lock you away again. He summoned the same seal his father once used. The ground under them glowed with red symbols. Chains of flame shot out and wrapped around Esdraloth's wings and body. The dragon struggled, its claws tearing mountains apart. You think you can cage me, child? Issei shouted. I don't think, I know. He poured all of his energy into the seal. The air burned, the light grew brighter, and finally, the dragon let out one last roar before vanishing in a storm of fire and light. When the smoke cleared, only silence remained. Issei fell to his knees, breathing hard. His armor cracked and disappeared. Xerxes helped him up. You did it. It's sealed again, Issei smiled weakly. Guess I'm not just a high school kid anymore. Rias ran to him and hugged him tightly. Don't you ever scare me like that again, he laughed softly. I'll try. Later, as the dust settled, the two devil armies stood side by side. No one spoke of war anymore. They had all seen what true destruction looked like. Xerxes looked at Issei. You saved the underworld. I can't call you my enemy after that, Issei nodded. Then maybe there's still hope for devils like us, Xerxes smiled faintly. Maybe your father's blood isn't our curse. Maybe it's our chance to change. As the armies left the valley, Rias stayed beside Issei, holding his hand. He looked up at the sky. For the first time, it was clear. No fire, no storm, just quiet stars. He whispered softly. Father, the world you left behind will live again. Drake chuckled in his mind. You're becoming quite the legend, partner. Issei smiled. No. I'm just getting started. Weeks passed since the battle with the Black Dragon God. The underworld had finally become quiet again. The devils rebuilt their cities, and for the first time, both the old and new factions stopped fighting. Everyone spoke the same name now, Issei Hayadu, the son of the true Satan. Some called him a hero, some called him a danger, but no one could ignore him anymore. Issei stayed at the Gremory mansion with Rias and her peerage. Every morning, he trained to control his new powers. Every night, he dreamed of his father, and sometimes, of his mother. He remembered her face only faintly. Long silver hair, warm smile, soft voice saying, My son, live freely. He had always believed she was a devil, but deep down, something about her felt different. One evening, while Issei was sitting outside under the stars, Drake spoke to him. Partner, your energy feels strange lately. Half of it feels pure, almost holy. Issei blinked. Holy? That doesn't make sense. I'm a devil, maybe not completely. Before Issei could reply, a bright light appeared in front of him. The others came running. Rias, Aquino, and Asia all looked shocked. From the light, a woman stepped out. She had long silver hair, glowing wings, and calm blue eyes. Her beauty was not of this world, Aquino whispered. An angel, the woman smiled kindly. No. I am something older than that. She looked directly at Issei. My name is Seraphina. I am your mother. The world seemed to stop for a moment. Issei's eyes widened. My mother? But that's impossible. You're an angel, Seraphina nodded. I was an angel once, before I met your father. Rias stepped forward carefully. You were with the true Satan? Seraphina smiled sadly. Yes. I was sent from heaven to kill him. But instead I saw the truth, that he didn't want war. He only wanted freedom for his kind. I fell in love with him, and for that, heaven cast me out. She walked closer to Issei and placed her hand on his cheek. You are our son, born of both heaven and hell. Issei felt like his whole world had turned upside down. I'm half angel, Seraphina nodded. You carry both light and darkness inside you. That's why your power is different. That's why you could seal the dragon god, Rias whispered. That's why his flames didn't harm holy energy. Seraphina turned to her. Yes. His heart is balanced. He can control both sides. Issei stepped back, his mind spinning. So what does that mean for me now? The devils already fear me. If the angels find out, they'll hate me too. Seraphina's smile faded. That's why I came. Heaven already knows. And they're sending someone to erase you. The next morning, the sky over the underworld began to glow gold. Thousands of angels descended from heaven, led by Michael, the leader of the seraphs. He floated high above the ground, his light shining brighter than the sun. Behind him were warriors of heaven, holding spears of light. Michael spoke, his voice echoing across the land. Issei Hayadu, son of the true Satan and the fallen seraph Seraphina, you are a danger to all realms. Your very existence breaks the balance. You must be destroyed. Rias stood in front of Issei. You'll have to go through me first. Aquino spread her wings. And me, Kiba stepped forward with his sword drawn. You'll find we don't surrender easily. Michael looked almost sad. So be it. He raised his hand, and the angels prepared to attack. Issei took a deep breath. Everyone, get behind me! He spread his wings, one black, one white. Dark and light energy mixed together around him, swirling like a storm. Seraphina stood beside him. This is your true form, my son. The power of both heaven and hell, Issei nodded. Then I'll use it to protect everyone I care about. He flew upward, meeting Michael in the air. Their powers clashed, creating waves that shook the sky. Michael shouted, You cannot exist! You are proof of sin, Issei yelled back. No, I'm proof that peace can exist. Their attacks collided, light and darkness twisting together until the entire sky turned gold and black. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Then the explosion hit. The blast spread for miles, but when the light faded, both of them were still standing. Michael's armor was cracked. Issei's shirt was torn, his energy fading, but he was smiling. See? Issei said, breathing hard. Light and darkness don't have to destroy each other. They can stand together. Michael looked at him for a long time, then lowered his weapon. Maybe you're right, he said quietly. He turned to his army. Stand down. The angels lowered their spears. The light in the sky faded. Seraphina smiled proudly. You did it. You made them listen. Issei landed softly on the ground. Guess I'm not the monster they thought I was. Rias ran to him and hugged him tightly. You idiot! You almost got yourself killed again, he laughed weakly. Yeah, but at least this time it worked. Michael looked down at him. You have both Satan's strength and an angel's heart. The world may not understand you yet, but perhaps one day it will. He flew back toward heaven, his army following. That night, Issei sat on a hill, watching the stars. Seraphina stood beside him, glowing faintly in the moonlight. You've done something even your father couldn't, she said softly. You've united heaven and hell, even if only for a moment. Issei looked up at her. I just want everyone to stop fighting, she smiled. That's why you're special. You carry both sides of the world, and you don't let either control you, he smiled back. Guess I really am the son of two worlds. As the wind blew gently through the night, Seraphina touched his head lovingly. Never forget who you are, Issei. Not devil. Not angel. Just you. Then she faded into light, returning to heaven. Rias walked up beside him, sitting quietly. So, your mom's an angel. That's new, Issei chuckled. Yeah. My family's a bit complicated. She smiled and leaned her head on his shoulder. That's okay. You're still Issei. He looked up at the stars again, feeling at peace for the first time. For the first time, he didn't feel like he had to choose between light or darkness. He was both, and that made him whole. Peace was slowly returning to the world. After the battle with heaven, angels and devils no longer looked at each other with pure hate. Some even traded messages and talked calmly. People started calling Issei a bridge between worlds, a devil's power and an angel's heart in one body. But peace never lasts forever. Far away, in a place beyond human eyes, an ancient meeting began. Inside a golden temple, powerful gods gathered. Odin from the Norse, Zeus from the Greek, Shiva from the Hindu pantheon, and other gods whose names only legends remembered. They all sat around a long stone table. Zeus spoke first. This boy, Issei Hayadu, the son of the true Satan and a fallen seraph. A devil with holy power. This is dangerous, Odin nodded. If he grows stronger, he might become stronger than all our worlds. Shiva rested his chin on his hand, calm but serious. He has already united devils and angels once. If he unites them fully, nothing will stop him. Zeus raised his hand, lightning crackling. We should remove him now, but Shiva looked at him sharply. No. A child who brings peace deserves a chance, Odin sighed. Then we watch him. But if he threatens the balance, we act. A voice echoed in the temple. Beware the one who carries two lights. When he sits on the throne, the sky will crack and fate will fall. It was a prophecy older than time. A warning. The gods all went silent. They knew now. Issei was not just a danger. He was destiny. Meanwhile, back in the underworld, Issei was training alone. Black and white flames spun around him like a storm. He tried to control them, but they burned too fast. Balance, balance, he said, sweating. Drake spoke inside his head. Partner, your power keeps growing. If you lose control, the whole underworld could burn. Issei took a deep breath. Yeah. I can feel it. It scares me sometimes. Just then, footsteps approached. Rias appeared with a smile. You're pushing yourself too hard. Issei sat down on the ground. I have to. Everyone is watching me. If I mess up, even for one moment, Rias sat next to him. Issei, you don't have to be perfect. You're not alone, he smiled. I know. Thanks. Asia ran over holding a phone. Issei-san! Look! The news! She played a video showing devils cheering and raising banners with Issei's symbol. A black flame and white wing together. Akino giggled. Looks like you're becoming popular, Kiba smirked. People are calling you the future Devil King, Issei scratched his head. I didn't ask for that, but I guess it's nice. Suddenly, the sky above them shook. A golden portal opened, and a tall man with silver hair stepped out, wearing armor glowing like the sun. It was Gabriel's brother, the Archangel Jophiel. He looked serious but calm, but before anyone reacted, he bowed his head politely. Issei Hayadu, the god pantheons have sent me with a message. Issei blinked. A message from gods? Yes. Jophiel's voice was steady. They will allow your existence, for now. But they will judge you again if you ever claim the throne. Issei's chest tightened. So if I become king, they'll attack? Jophiel nodded. They fear what you could become. They fear you might rule all worlds. Issei clenched his fists. I don't want to rule everything. I want peace. Jophiel smiled gently. Then show them peace. Words mean little, actions do. Then he looked at Rias, Asia, Akino, and Kiba. Stay beside him. If he loses himself, only you can bring him back. And just like that, Jophiel flew away and vanished into light. Issei sat quietly for a moment, thinking. Rias touched his shoulder. We'll face it together. The gods, the demons, the angels, anyone, he nodded. Yeah. I'm not afraid. I'll build a world where no one has to fear power again. The sky darkened, but not with danger. Black flames rose around Issei, and white feathers fell like snow. His voice was calm and strong. I am Issei Hayadu, son of Satan, son of a seraph. And I'll create a future where both sides can live in peace. In the far heavens the gods watched, some eyes filled with worry, others with curiosity, and one with a hint of hope. The world was changing, and it all began with one boy who refused to choose hate. The underworld was changing fast. Since Issei defeated the Black Dragon God and earned peace between angels and devils, people had started to believe in him. For the first time in history, heaven's light and hell's fire burned side by side without fighting. But peace brought something new, attention. And with attention came destiny. One quiet evening, Issei sat on the balcony of the Gremory mansion, looking at the stars. He was tired but peaceful. Rias came out with 2 cups of tea and smiled softly. You're finally relaxing, she said. He chuckled. Yeah, feels strange. No wars, no chaos, just quiet. Rias sat beside him. You deserve it. Just as she spoke, the sky began to glow with golden and black light mixed together. Both of them stood up immediately. What now? Issei muttered. A strong wind blew through the air, and a magic circle appeared in front of them, half glowing white, half burning black. Out of it stepped a girl. She looked about their age, maybe a bit older. Her hair was long and pure silver, and her eyes were 2 different colors, one gold, one red. She wore a dress that shimmered like light and shadow mixed together. She looked at Issei and smiled gently. Finally! I've found you. Rias tensed. Who are you? The girl bowed gracefully. My name is Liliana Morningstar. Issei blinked. Morningstar? That's my father's name, she nodded. Yes. I was chosen long ago, before you were born, to become your future queen. Rias froze. His what? Liliana's voice was calm but serious. When the true Satan ruled, he made a prophecy. He said his son would rise one day, carrying both darkness and light, and that a queen of equal balance would stand beside him. I am that queen. Issei rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't exactly sign up for that. Liliana giggled softly. No one said you had to. But destiny brought me here. Later, inside the mansion, everyone gathered to talk. Akino smirked, leaning on her chair. So, she's basically saying she's your wife from birth, Liliana nodded politely. In a way, yes. Our souls are connected by prophecy, Rias crossed her arms. I don't like that prophecy, Asia tried to calm her. Rias-senpai, maybe it's not what it sounds like, but Liliana turned to Issei and continued. Your father's magic still lives inside your throne. It told me to find you. The balance of heaven and hell is not yet complete. For true peace, you need someone who carries the same power, Issei frowned. You mean, you're like me? Liliana nodded. Yes. I was born from both worlds too. My father was an angel of creation. My mother was a demon of shadow. I am heaven and hell combined, Aquino smiled. So basically another Issei, but prettier, Liliana winked playfully. I'll take that as a compliment, Rias sighed loudly. Great. Just what we needed. Another girl with divine power, Issei laughed nervously. Everyone, please don't fight over prophecy. The next day, Liliana followed Issei everywhere. During training, she easily matched his power. When he summoned flames, she summoned light to balance them perfectly. When he released his dragon aura, hers rose too, not red, but white with silver streaks. Even Drake sounded surprised. Partner, she's not lying. Her power is almost equal to yours. I've never felt anything like it. Issei was amazed, and a little worried. Great. Another powerhouse. Just what we needed. Rias watched from a distance, her arms crossed and her expression unreadable. That night, Rias found Issei alone by the lake behind the mansion. He was staring at his reflection in the water. You're thinking too much again, she said, sitting beside him. He smiled weakly. Yeah. It's strange. For years I thought I was a simple human. Then a devil. Then Satan's son. Now they're telling me I have a queen chosen by prophecy. Rias looked down. And how do you feel about that? He sighed. I don't know. Liliana's strong, kind, and honest, but she's not you. Rias' eyes widened slightly. Issei, he looked at her and smiled. You were with me when I was weak, when everyone laughed at me. You were there when I had nothing. Prophecies don't decide my heart. Rias smiled, blushing. You always say things like that when I'm mad at you. They both laughed quietly. For a moment, everything felt right again. But in the shadows, someone else was watching, Liliana. She turned away, sadness flickering in her eyes. So he's already chosen. The next day, Liliana asked to speak to Issei alone. They met inside the old Satan temple, where his father's throne still stood. She looked serious this time. Issei, I wasn't honest about everything, he frowned. What do you mean? There's a reason I was sent here so suddenly. The gods who watched you are planning something. They believe your growing power will destroy them one day, so they plan to unite all pantheons, Olympus, Asgard, heaven, and strike before you can take the throne. Issei's eyes widened. All of them? Against me? Liliana nodded sadly. Yes. The prophecy I mentioned, it also said that the king of two worlds will face the wrath of all gods. And only his true queen can protect him from it. Issei stood silently, thinking hard. So, this whole queen prophecy, it's not about love. It's about survival. Yes, Liliana said softly. But I still want to fight beside you. Not because destiny says so, but because I believe in you, he smiled faintly. Then you're welcome to stand with us, she bowed. Then it begins. The gods are already moving. Outside, thunder rumbled across the skies of all worlds. Heaven's gates glowed. Olympus shook. Valhalla trembled. The prophecy was coming true. Rias entered the temple and stood beside Issei and Liliana. So, the gods want to fight now? Issei nodded. Yeah. Looks like peace was too good to last, Rias smirked. Then we'll show them what peace built, Liliana smiled. The Queen of Devils and the Queen of Heaven and Hell, side by side, Issei grinned. Guess I'm lucky, or cursed. They all laughed softly, but the tension in the air was real. The next great war wasn't between angels and devils this time. It would be the gods against the son of the true Satan, and this time, the world itself would choose its side. The peace that Issei built didn't last long. Only a month after Liliana's warning, the sky over every realm began to change. Thunder rolled across heaven. Mount Olympus shook. Even the underworld felt cold for the first time. It was the beginning of the War of the Gods. Rias, Aquino, Asia, and the others stood outside the Gremry mansion as magic circles started appearing all across the horizon. The symbols weren't from the underworld. They came from other worlds. Issei walked out wearing black and red armor, his eyes glowing faintly gold. Liliana stood beside him, dressed in white armor that shimmered with light. Kiba looked up at the sky and whispered, "They're really coming." Issei nodded. "Yeah. Every pantheon in existence." Rias turned to him. "So, what's the plan?" He took a deep breath. "We fight, not to destroy them, but to make them understand. If they want war, I'll give them a war they'll never forget." A massive explosion of light hit the center of the underworld. When the smoke cleared, Zeus, Odin, and Shiva stood together. Behind them were thousands of gods and divine soldiers, angels, spirits, and demigods. Zeus raised his hand, lightning crackling. "Issei Haida! You carry power that does not belong in this world. Surrender now!" Issei spread his wings, one white, one black. "I don't surrender to anyone. Not heaven, not hell, not even the gods." Odin stroked his beard. "The boy has courage. But courage without control is destruction." Shiva's eyes glowed blue. "If he can survive us, maybe he deserves the throne." Zeus frowned. "You talk too much. Let's end this." He raised his lightning spear, and the war began. The ground shattered as lightning struck. Thousands of divine soldiers charged forward. Issei flew up, meeting them head-on, his dragon aura bursting out like a storm. "Boost! Boost! Boost!" Drake roared inside his mind. The power doubled then tripled. Each punch Issei threw sent waves of energy that tore through the air. Liliana fought beside him, her white flames cutting through the armies of Olympus. Rias and Aquino supported from below, their magic combining to create walls of crimson lightning. Asia ran between fallen fighters, healing everyone, friend and enemy alike. "Don't die! Not for hate!" she cried. Even Kiba and Kaneko fought with everything they had, striking down gods who had never before been wounded. The war raged across mountains and skies. The world itself began to shake from the power being released. Zeus threw a massive bolt at Issei. The lightning was bright enough to blind even devils. Issei caught it in his bare hand. The energy burned him, but he didn't stop. He looked Zeus straight in the eyes. "I'm done bowing!" He crushed the lightning and slammed his fist into Zeus's chest. The god was thrown back, crashing through mountains. Odin appeared behind him, swinging Gungnir, his golden spear. But before it hit, Liliana blocked it with her wings. The impact sent shockwaves across the battlefield. "You'll have to go through me first," she said firmly. Odin lowered his weapon slightly. "You fight with purpose." "For him, yes," she said. "Because he fights for everyone." Meanwhile, Shiva stood still, watching everything quietly. When Issei turned to face him, the god smiled slightly. "Let's see if you can handle real power." Shiva raised his hand, and 1,000 blue flames appeared in the air. Each one carried the energy of destruction itself. Issei felt the pressure but smiled. "You're not the only one with fire." He spread his arms, and black flames roared around him. The ground cracked under his feet. When the two flames collided, the explosion was louder than thunder. Half the battlefield vanished into light. When the smoke cleared, both of them were still standing, tired, burned, but smiling. Shiva nodded. "You're stronger than your father." Issei laughed softly. "He'd be proud to hear that." High above, the gods paused. The boy they wanted to destroy was still standing after fighting 3 of them at once. Even Zeus looked uncertain now. Then something strange happened. The black and white flames around Issei began to merge. They turned gold, pure and bright, and the sky filled with warmth instead of fire. Everyone stopped fighting to look. Issei floated in the air, glowing brighter than any star. His voice was calm, but it carried across all worlds. "I don't want to rule you. I don't want to destroy you. I just want peace. If power scares you, then I'll prove that power can protect, not kill." The golden flame spread across the battlefield. Wherever it touched, weapons melted into light. Wounds closed. The rage in every heart disappeared. Even Zeus dropped his spear, staring in awe. This power isn't destruction. It's creation." Odin smiled faintly. "The power of balance, the child of light and dark." Shiva closed his eyes. It seems the prophecy was wrong. His throne won't bring ruin, it will bring peace. The gods slowly lowered their weapons. The war was over, not by death, but by understanding. Zeus looked up at Issei. You've done something no god ever could. You've stopped us from fighting. Issei landed softly, his wings folding behind him. Maybe it's time gods stopped deciding who lives and dies, Shiva smiled. Maybe you're right. One by one, the gods vanished into their worlds again, leaving behind silence. Rias and the others ran to Issei. Aquino grinned. You did it again, Issei. You stopped a war. Asia hugged him tightly. You saved everyone. Liliana smiled softly. You really are the king of two worlds. Rias stood close to him and whispered. No, he's the king of all worlds. Issei looked up at the clear sky. Maybe, but I'm still just Issei Hayato. Later that night, the underworld celebrated. Devils, angels, and even some gods joined together in peace. For the first time in history, all races laughed under the same stars. Issei stood quietly on a balcony, watching them. Rias came to his side and smiled. You changed the world, he shook his head. We changed it. Together, she leaned on his shoulder. So what now? King of heaven and hell? He chuckled. No. Just a protector. That's all I ever wanted to be. Liliana appeared behind them, smiling warmly. Then the prophecy is complete. You didn't destroy the gods, you united them. Drake's deep voice echoed in his mind. Partner, looks like we finally made peace with the world. Issei smiled. Yeah, Drake. We did. He looked at the stars, glowing brighter than ever before. For once, there was no war, no hate, only peace, born from the fire of the son of the true Satan. Weeks passed since the war of the gods ended. Peace had spread through every realm. The angels rebuilt heaven's gates, the devils rebuilt their cities, and even the dragons roamed freely without fear. For the first time in history, there was no war between light and darkness. And yet, Issei couldn't rest. Every night he dreamed of the same thing, a massive throne made of black stone and gold light. It stood at the center of a void where time didn't exist. And a deep voice, his father's voice, always called to him. My son, it is time. One night, Issei woke up suddenly, his heart racing. The air around him was heavy, and the pendant on his neck began to glow. He stood up, and before he could even move, a dark portal opened in front of him. Rias rushed into the room, her hair messy from sleep. Issei! What's happening? He looked at her calmly. It's calling me. The true throne. Rias grabbed his hand tightly. Then I'm coming with you, Issei smiled. I knew you'd say that. They stepped through the portal together. When they opened their eyes again, they stood in a place beyond worlds. There was no ground, only floating rocks and endless sky. At the center of it all was the throne, gigantic, glowing with black and golden fire. Liliana and the others appeared behind them, pulled by the same light. Aquino stared in awe. So this is the throne of the true Satan, Asia whispered. It's beautiful, and scary. Issei slowly walked forward. Every step he took made the ground light up with ancient symbols. The closer he got, the louder his father's voice became. You've done what even I could not. You've united heaven and hell. But now, the world needs a ruler to keep that balance. Issei stopped in front of the throne. He could feel the energy, heavy, endless, powerful. It wasn't evil, it wasn't holy, it was both. Rias looked at him, eyes full of worry. Are you going to sit on it? Issei looked down at his hands. If I do, I become what my father was, the ruler of all. But if I don't, the throne will search for someone else. Maybe someone worse. Liliana stepped forward. Only you can control it, Issei. You carry both sides. You're the balance, he smiled weakly. Then maybe that's why I shouldn't. They all went silent. Suddenly, the throne began to glow brighter, as if it could hear his thoughts. A figure appeared beside it, the spirit of the true Satan himself. He looked almost exactly like Issei, but older, colder, with eyes full of both love and regret. My son, the spirit said. You've surpassed me. You've done what I could not. The world is finally united. But it will not last without a king. Issei looked straight at him. Then why didn't you stay and rule it yourself? The spirit smiled sadly. Because I was too proud. I believed fear would bring peace. But I was wrong. You taught me that strength comes from love. He raised his hand, and the black flame on the throne turned white. Now the choice is yours. Sit upon the throne and rule forever, or destroy it and free the world from its cycle, Rias whispered. Issei, he closed his eyes. He could feel everyone's hearts around him, Rias, Aquino, Asia, Liliana, even Drake's calm strength inside his soul. Partner, whatever you choose, I'm with you, Issei smiled. Thanks, Drake. He looked up at the throne, its fire swirling between light and dark. I don't want to rule through fear or power, he said. If I take this throne, the world will depend on me. And if I ever fall, everything will fall again. The true Satan's spirit tilted his head. Then what will you do? Issei clenched his fist. I'll break the chain. The world doesn't need a throne. It needs freedom. He stepped forward, raising his hand, and for the first time, his flames turned golden. They weren't from Satan or heaven, they were his own. He placed his hand on the throne. It started to shake violently, the flames rising higher and higher. Rias shouted, Issei! Stop, it'll kill you! He smiled at her, tears in his eyes. If this ends the cycle, it's worth it. The throne cracked, its light splitting into thousands of glowing sparks. The fire wrapped around Issei, covering him completely. Everyone had to shield their eyes from the brightness. When the light finally faded, the throne was gone. The endless void had turned into a calm sky filled with stars. Issei was floating in the middle of it, glowing softly. He looked peaceful. Rias ran to him, and caught him as he started to fall. Issei! Are you okay? He opened his eyes slowly and smiled. Yeah, it's finally over. The spirit of the true Satan appeared one last time, smiling proudly. You did what even gods couldn't, my son. You set the world free. Then he vanished, leaving behind only light. Days later, the news spread across every world. The throne of the true Satan, the symbol of power and control, was gone. There was no longer a ruler above others. Every realm now stood equal, connected by peace. In the underworld, devils built a new council instead of a king. In heaven, angels sang in celebration. And in between them, Issei walked among both worlds, no longer a ruler, but a protector. He wasn't called Satan's son anymore. He was simply known as Issei Hayato, the guardian of balance. One night, Rias and Issei sat together under the stars. She looked at him softly. You gave up everything. The throne, the title, even your chance to be king, he smiled. I never wanted to be king. I just wanted to make sure no one else had to fight like we did. Rias leaned her head on his shoulder. You're still my king, he laughed quietly. Then that's enough for me. Above them, a shooting star crossed the sky, a faint echo of the throne's light. For the first time, the world truly felt at peace. 20 years had passed since Issei destroyed the true throne. The world had changed more than anyone could have imagined. There were no longer wars between angels, devils, or gods. Children with both halos and wings played in the same cities. Humans, who once only told stories of heaven and hell, now lived freely among supernatural beings. And at the heart of it all was one man, Issei Hayato, the guardian of balance. But even legends grow old. Issei stood on a high cliff overlooking the new capital of the underworld. He wore simple clothes, no armor, no crown. His hair had grown longer, and his eyes, though still bright, carried the calm of someone who had seen too much. Beside him stood Rias, still as beautiful as ever, her crimson hair glowing in the sunset. She smiled softly. Still watching the world, huh? Issei chuckled. Yeah. Hard to believe this used to be a battlefield. Rias looked down at the peaceful city below. You gave them something better than power. You gave them hope. He shook his head. We did. You, me, all of us. I couldn't have done it alone. Rias leaned on his arm. And you never had to. Far below, in the city, statues of Issei stood in the plazas, not as a god, not as a king, but as a man holding both a flame and a feather. Children ran around them, shouting stories about the Dragon King who united heaven and hell. But not everyone was at peace. In the deepest part of the world, a strange darkness began to stir. The space where the true throne once stood had never fully healed. A crack still glowed faintly, not of light or fire, but something colder, something alive. And from that crack came a whisper. Balance is an illusion. The wind carried it far, reaching Issei's ears like a faint echo. He frowned slightly. Did you feel that? Rias nodded. Yes. That didn't sound normal. Drake's voice suddenly spoke in his mind, older, heavier than before. Partner, something's wrong. I feel a presence, familiar, but twisted. Issei's eyes narrowed. You think it's the throne? No. Something that was trapped under it. That night, Issei called for the new council of leaders. They met in a great hall built where his father's throne once stood. Rias sat beside him. Liliana, now ruling as queen of the neutral realm between heaven and hell, stood opposite him. Beside her were Gabriel, Odin's son Baldur, and even a young dragon named Arion, who looked up to Issei like a hero. Issei stood and spoke calmly. Something is moving under the old seal. We need to investigate. Arion grinned. Then let me come. I've been training to be like you, master. Issei smiled. You've got the heart for it, Arion. But this might not be an ordinary threat. Rias looked serious. What do you think it is? Issei's eyes darkened. If I'm right, it's what my father locked away before the throne was made. The room fell silent. Liliana asked quietly. You mean, there was something worse than the black dragon god? He nodded. Yes. My father called it the Void Serpent. The creature born when the first light and first shadow collided. Days later, Issei, Rias, Liliana, and Arion traveled to the site where the throne once stood. It was quiet, too quiet. The air was heavy, and the ground pulsed faintly, as if something deep below was breathing. Arion stepped forward and placed his hand on the ground. He closed his eyes. There's something alive down there. Huge, older than time itself. Drake's voice rumbled inside Issei's head. Partner, I can feel it now. It's awake. The ground suddenly split open, throwing everyone back. A massive roar echoed, louder than thunder. From the darkness, a huge creature rose. Its body was endless, like a snake made of black mist and golden veins. Its eyes glowed white, and its voice made the world tremble. I am the Void Serpent. I was here before light. Before gods. Before your father's sin. Issei spread his wings. Then you remember me. The serpent's mouth twisted into something like a grin. I remember his flame. I remember his fear. He caged me once. But you destroyed the cage, Rias whispered. Oh no, when you destroyed the throne, Issei finished quietly. I freed it. The serpent laughed, a sound that shook the sky. Balance is weakness. I will swallow both heaven and hell, and start the world again. Issei stepped forward. Not while I'm still breathing. The air burst into fire. Black and white wings opened behind him, glowing brighter than ever before. Boost! 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 Drake roared inside his soul, and the flames turned gold. Liliana joined him, her hands glowing with light. Rias summoned her full power, her crimson aura burning like a star. And Arion, though young, spread his dragon wings and growled. Let's end this! The serpent struck first. Its tail crashed through the ground, sending waves of darkness across the land. Issei blocked the first strike, but the impact sent him flying through a mountain. Damn, it's strong! He shouted. Rias blasted the serpent's body with destruction magic, while Liliana's light kept it from regenerating. But it was endless. For every piece destroyed, another formed again. Partner! Its body is made of pure nothingness. You can't kill what isn't real. Issei gritted his teeth. Then we'll make it real! He flew into the air, pulling energy from the entire sky. His eyes glowed gold, his aura spreading across the horizon. Rias and Liliana looked up, shielding their eyes. He's going to do it again, Rias said softly. The true flame. Issei raised both hands. Golden and black fire merged together into a massive sphere of light. The flame of creation, the power that could rewrite existence itself. He shouted, his voice echoing across the world. Drake! Let's show it the power of life itself. Boost! Limit breaker. Dragon god form. His armor changed, glowing like molten gold. Wings of pure energy stretched across the sky. He looked like a god, or something beyond one. The Void Serpent hissed. You cannot destroy nothing, Issei smiled. Maybe not. But I can fill it with everything. He flew straight into the serpent's open mouth. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, A burst of golden light exploded across the world. The flames didn't burn, they restored. The sky cleared, the ground healed, and the serpent's massive body began to dissolve into light. Its voice echoed one last time. Light and dark, always return, to nothing. Then it was gone. When the light faded, Issei floated above a peaceful land. His golden armor faded away, and he slowly fell. Rias caught him in her arms again, tears in her eyes. You idiot, you did it again, he smiled weakly. I told you. I'd protect everything. Liliana stood beside them, smiling proudly. The last shadow is gone. Arion looked around at the now clear sky. You saved the world again, Master, Issei laughed softly. Nah, we did. Months later, the world celebrated once more. Issei was honored as the Dragon King, the one who ended the age of war and began the age of balance. But when people came to thank him, he only smiled and said, I'm no king. I'm just someone who refused to let the world burn. He built schools for young angels and devils to learn together. He trained Arion to take his place one day, and sometimes, he would sit quietly with Rias, watching the sunset, just happy to see peace last. One night, Drake spoke to him softly. Partner, after everything, do you regret destroying the throne? Issei smiled. Not at all. I didn't need a throne to protect the world. I just needed a heart. Drake chuckled. You've come a long way, Issei Hayadu. Yeah, Issei said, closing his eyes. But the journey's not over yet. He looked up at the stars, the same stars that once burned above battles and blood. Now they were calm, glowing softly over the world he had rebuilt. And for the first time, the son of the true Satan finally had peace, not as a ruler, not as a god, but as a man who became legend. Hundreds of years passed. Time moved gently through the world that Issei had built. The wars of angels, devils, and gods had long been forgotten. Peace had become the normal way of life. But legends never truly die. They sleep, waiting for the right moment to awaken again. The story of Issei Hayadu, the son of the true Satan, became a myth told to children before bedtime. They called him the Dragon King, the one who carried both light and darkness, who united heaven and hell, and who vanished into the stars after saving the world. And though his name faded from memory, his power did not. Deep beneath the earth, hidden in the ruins of the first temple, a golden flame still burned. It never dimmed, never changed. It was the last piece of Issei's soul, the eternal flame. The flame that could create, or destroy, worlds. In the new age, devils, angels, and humans lived together in peace. There were new schools, new leaders, and even new heroes. Among them was a young boy named Caden. Caden was 16, half human, half devil. He had short dark hair, bright amber eyes, and a strange birthmark on his chest that glowed faintly whenever he got angry. He didn't know what it meant. All he knew was that he sometimes saw visions, flashes of a man with red and white wings, standing in fire. One day, during training at the new academy for young hybrids, Caden's power suddenly went out of control. Dark and light energy mixed around him, shaking the ground. Everyone ran back in fear. The headmaster, an old dragon named Arion, appeared instantly and calmed the energy with one strike of his hand. Caden! Arion said, his deep voice shaking the hall. What are you doing? I don't know, Caden shouted. It just happened. Arion looked closer at the mark glowing on the boy's chest. He froze for a moment, his eyes widening. That mark, he whispered. It's his symbol. Caden blinked. Who's the Dragon King? Arion said. Issei Hayadu. Later that night, Arion took Caden to a quiet place outside the academy. They walked through a forest until they reached a hidden cave, glowing faintly with golden light. This is where it all began, Arion said. And where it all ended. Inside the cave, Caden saw it, a single flame floating in the air, burning without heat. It was small but endless, shining with both gold and black colors. Caden felt drawn to it. What is that? Arion bowed his head. The eternal flame. It is the last power left by the son of the true Satan. He used this fire to protect our world, and then sealed it here. Caden stared at it in awe. It feels alive, Arion nodded. It is. It watches, waiting for someone worthy to inherit it. Caden turned toward him. Why bring me here? Because it called to you, Arion said simply. And because that mark on your chest means his blood runs in your veins. Caden stepped back, shocked. You're saying I'm related to him? Arion smiled faintly. Yes. You are his descendant, the heir of the Dragon King. That night, Caden couldn't sleep. The words echoed in his head, the heir of the Dragon King. He didn't feel like a hero. He was just a kid who got into trouble and couldn't control his power. But in his dreams he saw Issei. He was older now, calm and smiling, wearing simple clothes and standing in front of a sunset. Who are you? Caden asked. Issei smiled. The question isn't who I am, Caden. It's who you'll become. Caden frowned. I'm not like you. I can't control this power. I almost hurt my friends. Issei walked closer and placed a hand on his shoulder. The fire inside you isn't meant to destroy. It's meant to protect. You just have to remember what matters most. Caden looked up. What if I fail? Issei smiled warmly. Then get back up. That's what I always did. The dream faded, and Caden woke up with a new sense of purpose. A few weeks later, strange things began happening. Across the world, cracks of darkness appeared in the sky. Old seals started to weaken. The peace Issei had built was beginning to break. Arion gathered the young heroes at the academy. Caden, a holy angel girl named Lyra, and a dragon warrior named Vex. The eternal flame is reacting, Arion said. Something from beyond our world is trying to reach it. If it falls into the wrong hands, everything Issei built will be lost. Caden clenched his fists. Then I'll protect it. Lyra looked at him softly. Are you sure you're ready for that? He nodded. No. But I'll do it anyway. That night, Caden returned to the cave. The flame was glowing brighter than before, as if it was waiting. He stepped closer, his heart pounding. If you really belong to him, then lend me your strength. The flame pulsed once, then flew into his chest. Light filled the cave. Caden screamed as energy poured through him, memories flooding his mind, Issei's battles, his love for Rias, the wars, the peace, everything. When the light faded, Caden was on his knees, breathing hard. On his back, 2 wings had appeared, one black, one white. Drake's old voice echoed faintly in his mind. So, the bloodline continues. Caden stood slowly, his eyes glowing gold. He looked at his hands and smiled slightly. I guess it's my turn now. Outside, the cracks in the sky grew larger, spilling out black mist and strange creatures born of chaos. The world trembled once again. Arion watched from a mountain top and whispered, It begins again, old friend. Somewhere far beyond the stars, Issei's voice echoed softly, proud and peaceful. Show them the fire, my heir. Not to rule, but to protect. Caden spread his new wings, light and shadow blending perfectly. He looked up at the dark sky and whispered, For peace, just like you taught me. Then he flew upward, the eternal flame shining behind him like a new dawn. The world had changed again. After Caden inherited the eternal flame, peace returned for a short time. The light of the flame healed broken lands and quieted storms. Angels, devils, dragons, and humans once again believed that balance would last forever. But balance never lasts. Not when the shadows of the past still whisper. Far beyond the stars, in the empty space between worlds, something ancient began to move. It was the Void Serpent's echo, the last piece of the monster Issei once destroyed. It drifted through darkness for centuries, feeding on forgotten fears, waiting for a chance to return. Now it had found one. Caden stood on the training field of the academy, his wings spread, one white, one black, glowing softly in the sunlight. Around him stood his friends, Lyra, the angel with golden wings, Vex, the dragon warrior, and Talia, a half-demon girl with bright red eyes and a sharp tongue. Vex smirked. You're getting faster, Caden. Caden grinned. That's because I finally stopped thinking and started listening. Lyra smiled softly. Listening to what? Caden touched his chest. To the flame. But before they could say more, the sky above them cracked, like glass breaking. Everyone stopped and looked up. Black mist poured out from the cracks. The air turned cold, and the ground trembled. Talia frowned. That doesn't look good. Arion appeared in a flash of light, his wings spread wide. His face was grim. The void has returned. Across the world, black storms formed over oceans and mountains. Creatures of pure darkness crawled out of the mist. Twisted dragons, fallen angels, and shadows that screamed in pain. Every world, heaven, hell, and earth, began to shake. Caden clenched his fists. I thought Issei destroyed the Void Serpent. Arion nodded. He did. But every light leaves behind a shadow. The serpent's echo survived, waiting for a new host. Lyra looked at the cracks in the sky. So it's looking for someone strong enough to control it? Arion looked directly at Caden. Yes. And that someone might be you. Caden froze. Me, the eternal flame and the void were born together. Arion explained. Light and nothingness, two sides of the same coin. Now that the flame burns inside you, the void wants it back, Vex growled. Then we'll just destroy it again. Arion shook his head. It can't be destroyed the same way twice. This time, the power to end it must come from within the flame. Caden nodded slowly. Then I'll go. Lyra grabbed his hand. You're not going alone, he smiled softly. Didn't think I'd have to tell you no twice. Their journey began the next morning. The group traveled to the edge of the world, to the place where the throne of the true Satan once stood centuries ago. It was nothing now but a deep crater filled with fog. Caden stepped forward. It started here, and it'll end here. As they entered, whispers filled the air. Son of fire, heir of flame, you cannot escape the shadow. Talia looked around. Okay, that's creepy. Lyra's wings glowed faintly. Those are souls, trapped between existence and nothing. Arion nodded. When Issei destroyed the throne, some pieces of the void remained here. The echo has been feeding on them. Caden took a deep breath. Then let's end it. The mist thickened until they could barely see. Then the ground cracked open beneath them, and from the darkness rose a massive figure, half smoke, half shadow, shaped like a dragon. It was the Void Serpent's echo, reborn, but smaller and more intelligent this time. Its voice hissed like wine through broken glass. You carry the flame that took my body. Give it back, child of fire. Caden spread his wings. You'll have to take it from me, the serpent laughed. Gladly. It struck first. Dark energy blasted through the air. Caden blocked it with the eternal flame, but the impact threw him backward. Lyra fired beams of light, and Vex launched fireballs, but the serpent absorbed them both. Arion shouted. Don't attack blindly. It feeds on energy. Caden landed hard, his armor cracked. Then what do we do, partner? The old voice of Drake echoed faintly in his mind again. The eternal flame is more than power. It's life. You can't fight the void with strength. You must fill it. Caden understood immediately. He stood up, closing his eyes, and let the flame spread from his chest. It didn't burn this time. It glowed, warm and bright. He opened his eyes. You want the flame? Then take it all. The Void Serpent's echo lunged forward, trying to swallow him whole. But as it touched the light, it began to melt. The fire didn't destroy it, it healed it. The shadows screamed, their shape breaking apart, until all that was left was a single spark of darkness floating in front of Caden. He reached out and touched it. Rest now. The spark flickered once, then vanished into light. The mist disappeared. The sky cleared. The cracks closed. Everyone stood quietly as the light faded. Lyra whispered. You did it! Caden smiled tiredly. Guess the flame finally found its balance. Arion stepped forward, proud. You've surpassed even Issei. He would be proud of you. Caden looked up at the calm sky. He's watching. I can feel it. Later, back at the academy, people celebrated. But Caden didn't see himself as a hero. He sat quietly outside, watching the stars, the same way Issei once had centuries ago. Lyra sat beside him. So what now? Caden smiled. Now? We live. We protect. We teach. She tilted her head. Like he did? He nodded. Exactly. He looked at his hands, the eternal flame glowing softly within them. It's not just my power anymore. It's the world's. In the heavens, a faint image appeared, Issei, smiling, standing beside Rias. They watched the new generation below. Rias leaned on him. Looks like your legacy is in good hands, Issei smiled. Yeah. The flame will never die. They faded into starlight as Caden looked up, whispering softly, Thank you? Dragon King. And somewhere, beyond worlds, the eternal flame burned brighter, not as a weapon, but as a promise. Peace, reborn again. 100 years after Caden defeated the Void's echo, peace had once again returned. The skies were clear, the realms were united, and for the first time in history, humans walked freely among angels and devils without fear. But peace never lasts forever. Kaden Hyadu, now an adult, stood at the top of the Eternal Tower, the place where the old academy had once been. It was now the headquarters of a new group he had built, the Dragon Guardians. They were a union of all races, angels, devils, humans, and dragons, trained not for war, but to protect the fragile balance of the world. Kaden watched as young recruits sparred below. Lyra, now the High Commander, shouted orders while her golden wings glimmered in the sun. Vex trained the Dragonborn recruits, teaching them flight and fire control. And Talia led a group of half-demons through combat drills, her voice sharp but her smile proud. Arion, much older now, stood beside Kaden. His scales had dulled, but his eyes were bright with wisdom. "You've done well, Kaden," he said. "You've built something even your ancestors couldn't." Kaden smiled softly. "Maybe. But peace isn't something you build once. It's something you protect forever," Arion chuckled. Spoken like Issei himself, but far away, in the human world, things were not as peaceful. In the ruins of an old church, a group of humans wearing black cloaks stood around a glowing circle. Their leader, a tall man with gray hair and silver eyes, spoke calmly. "The world has forgotten its place. Devils, angels, dragons, all walk among men. That is not nature's way." He lifted his hand, showing a strange black symbol on his palm, a twisted cross of light and shadow. "The gods have fallen silent. So we will rise in their name. We are the Purity Order." One of his followers bowed. "What shall we do, Lord Ezra?" Ezra's cold eyes glowed faintly. "We will cleanse the world of divine blood. Starting with the Dragon Guardians." A few days later, Kaden woke to a strange energy near the border between the human world and the underworld. A Dragon Guardian scout rushed in, injured and pale. "Commander! Humans, they're using divine weapons! They attacked one of our patrols." Kaden's eyes narrowed. "Humans? With divine power?" Lyra appeared beside him instantly. "That shouldn't be possible. Only angels can use divine light." Arion frowned deeply. "Unless someone has given it to them." Kaden stood. "Gather the Guardians. We're going to the surface." They arrived in an abandoned city near the old church ruins. The streets were silent, but Kaden could feel something, a pulse, faint but deadly. "Stay alert," he whispered. Then a flash of light exploded from the rooftops. Figures in black cloaks surrounded them, holding spears glowing with holy energy mixed with something darker. Ezra stepped forward, his gray hair flowing in the wind. "The Dragon King's bloodline lives on. You should have stayed hidden, Kaden Hyadu." Kaden frowned. "You know my name?" Ezra smiled coldly. "I know your blood. You carry both sin and purity, just like the abomination before you. Your ancestor, Issei Hyadu, polluted this world by uniting it. We will correct his mistake." Kaden's wings spread wide. "You call peace a mistake?" Ezra raised his hand. "Peace built on unholy blood is not peace, it's corruption." The battle began. Lyra summoned divine shields while Vex transformed into his dragon form, roaring flames into the sky. Talia charged through the soldiers, her twin blades glowing red. Kaden flew straight at Ezra. Their attacks clashed, light against flame. The ground shattered beneath them. Ezra blocked Kaden's punch with his spear, smirking. "You're strong, but you don't understand the truth," Kaden growled. "Then explain it." Ezra's eyes glowed. "The eternal flame wasn't meant for this world. It's a fragment of creation itself. As long as it burns inside you, the world will never rest. Balance will always be temporary." Kaden clenched his teeth. "Then I'll make it permanent." He slammed his palm into the ground, sending a wave of golden fire outward. It burned away the corrupted weapons and threw back the cloaked soldiers. But Ezra only smiled. "You're exactly like him, trying to protect everyone, and doomed to fail." He vanished in a flash of dark light. After the battle, the Guardians helped the wounded and secured the city. But Kaden wasn't at ease. Lyra walked up beside him. "You're thinking about what he said, aren't you?" Kaden nodded. "If what Ezra said is true, the eternal flame might not belong here." Arion approached, his face grim. "He's not completely wrong. The flame is older than all worlds. It's not just a gift, it's a responsibility." Caden looked at his glowing hand. Then maybe it's time I learn where it really came from, Lyra frowned. You're not going alone, he smiled. Wouldn't dream of it. The next night, Caden entered the Hall of Memories, a place deep beneath the Eternal Tower. Inside were crystal spheres holding the memories of the great ones who came before. He stopped in front of one glowing faintly red and white. Issei. He touched it, and the world around him faded. He saw his ancestor, standing before the true throne centuries ago, destroying it to bring peace. Then he saw something more, a flash of golden light escaping from the throne before it shattered. It flew into the sky, into another world. Caden's eyes widened. The eternal flame wasn't born here. It came from beyond, Issei's voice echoed softly. The flame doesn't belong to one world, Caden. It belongs to all. Guard it, but never chain it. The vision faded. Caden opened his eyes, his heart steady. Then that's what I'll do. Not as its owner, but as its keeper. The next day, he gathered his team. Lyra, Vex, Talia, and even Arion stood ready. Caden looked at them with a determined smile. We're going to find where the eternal flame truly came from. And if this purity order wants to stop us, then they'll have to go through all of us. Vex cracked his knuckles. Now that's the Caden I know, Lyra's eyes shone. Then let's protect the peace he left behind. As they flew into the sky, the world below glowed in golden light. The age of war had ended long ago, but a new age of dragons was about to begin.